Hello and welcome to this small session on quantitative aptitude. Now I'm taking a session on quant on this channel after a very long time. I think after a few months, I do not even remember. People keep asking me, why do you not do any sessions on quant? And my answer is simple. I've actually done a lot of quant on this channel and all of that is still quite relevant, very relevant. I mean, it's the same thing. The things have not changed in the last 1.5 years. So it's all very relevant. But you guys are so used to doing new stuff, new kinds of questions, new types of questions that you at times feel that all that is obsolete and outdated. No, absolutely not. Still all very relevant. All of our good students understand that and still use those same things. Now, the background to this session is it's something else. If you look at this, it says, it mentions the IBPS PO Mains 2018 paper. I still keep getting texts from people saying, so the paper was very tough and it was so tough, I do not know if I have to actually or I should be continuing my preparation of bank exams because the paper has become so tough now that it's beyond me. The question remains the same, how comfortable you are with arithmetic DI when it comes to mains. I'm not talking about prelims now, I'm just talking about mains. And the answer is also, for most of these students would be the same. I'm okay at it, I'm not comfortable. If you're not comfortable, this paper is going to be bad for you. But when I just kept hearing this for a long time, I thought I'll do my research and try and find out what actually came in the paper. Because believe me, there are students who texted me after the exam saying, I'll get a 30-35 out of 60 in this. I could have crossed a 40 easily. I made a few blunders. On the other hand, there was few students, good students of mine, who said I could just do 15 marks, 15, 17 marks, not more than that. So all in all, it was considered a tough paper. But how could it happen that, some students are ending up at a 10, some are crossing a 40, and the people who cross a 40 invariably have to hear things like, bakwas kar raha hai, iske number nahi aayenge. He always comes back and says the same things and stuff like that. No, some people have actually done well over there. And that's why I was a little curious on the paper. These guys unfortunately do not give us the paper. So I was just browsing the net and I came through some 15-20 questions on the test. I ran a small poll on the Facebook group some days back with 5 of those questions, 5 of those tougher questions from that set of 15-20 questions. And people actually validated that these are the questions that appeared in the test. So the agenda is that I'll discuss those 5 questions with you, those 5 new kind of questions with you, new type questions with you here in this session. To my surprise, in fact that was a pleasant surprise, I found the paper to be simple. It was simple, it was easy, it did not require any kind of drudgery. I'm not saying it was, it was something that anybody could have scored in. No. If you understand the concept, it was easy for you. It did not require drudgery. ऐसा कुछ नहीं था जिसके लिए आपको बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी. But you need to know the stuff. All it required was some patience, a careful reading, fine, people who could just keep their head, and then it could have been done. So I'll just prove that to you with the 5 of the tougher questions of the paper, and all of you would understand that these were there, all of you who did the test. But before that, if I let's first understand this part here. When it talks about this thing, what is that new type of questions that they talk about? So I'll tell you what that was. This time they gave you questions like this. This is a question, then it had 4 answers like this, A, B, C, D. Fine. These were not answer choices, and the answer choices were like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they had these combinations, A and B, fine, C and D, all of them, right, none of these, something like that. So basically, the advantage with multiple choice questions is that you can use these options, right? So what they were saying is that because these were multiple correct options possible here, you had to check all 4 and it became quite difficult. I agree to a certain extent. Yes, it was a little tougher than what used to appear earlier, wherein you have to just, these were 5 options, A, B, C, D, E, and you will have to mark just one of them. So when it comes to combinations, it becomes a little tougher. But when I looked at the questions, the actual questions, they were still easy. They were still easy, but they required application. The difference was, there are 2 kinds of tough questions. If you ask me, there are 2 kinds of questions that can consume your time. One is a kind of question that involves a lot of drudgery, hard work, fine. Work that is ordinary in the sense that if I, let's say, ask you to write numbers from 1 to 500, what is that? It's nothing. I know that all of you, without any exception, would be able to do that. But what I'm asking you to do in that is drudgery. Some work that is, routine stuff, does not require any skill, just hard work. So that is drudgery. Another kind of question would be that requires some smart work or some knowledge. For example, just look at this example. If I give you 2 choices, calculate this. Fine. Another choice is, this is your task 1 and this is task 2. Write numbers from, let's say, 1 to 100. Write all the numbers from 1 to 100. Now, this is a perfect example of what is happening these days. If you know how to calculate square roots, if you know squaring or calculating square roots, this is a nothing thing for you. You look at it, you observe it, just by mere observation, you know that that's 4.7. Fine, this is 4.7 and you straight away note the answer and you will not do this. On the other hand, if you don't know this, you will be tempted to write this thing. Now, at whatever speed you write, this will still take you some 30-40 seconds. Now, this is the difference. For somebody who does not know this, how to do this, or is not familiar, would think that this is easier and it's time consuming. Fine. You have to increase your knowledge base to be able to do this one. This is just an example, try and understand. They would not really ask you to calculate this or write these numbers. This is just an example to show to you that some questions can be done smartly, very quickly, and you can do them in place of those questions that will probably take you 5 minutes. Fine. So, these questions that will probably take you 5 minutes, vis-a-vis a question that can be done in, say, half a minute. If you compare, you have to go with these ones, but you have to obviously acquire some skill to be able to use them. Fine. So, the agenda is that I am going to discuss these 5 questions with you. Now, these are slightly modified versions of these questions. I will say that they have become slightly tougher. When I ran the poll, 95% of the people said that these are tough questions. Some 2-3% people said that what you have given is easy because the options are easier and the options in the actual exam were tougher. So what I have done is that I have changed the options, I have changed the questions as well at certain places, so that you even if you find them familiar because you have done them previously somewhere on some website, you will find them new. So my expectation from you here would be to do these 5 questions as you would do them in a test. Fine. Try to get a 5 out of 5. I will discuss each one of these 5 questions with you. So when I show you a question, pause the video, try answering it. After that, listen to the solution and then move forward. And at the end of this exercise, decide yourself if there was anything in it that you could not have done with your limited knowledge. I am not expecting any quant experts or arithmetic experts. No. With what we have done, at least, okay, leave anything or anybody else. With what I have done on YouTube for you, you tell me, could you not have done these 5 questions, right? So that is the exercise. You'll have to pause the video. Don't watch it like a movie or a small episode of some daily series. No, just take it like a small class, a very small class. Pause the video, attempt it, and then restart the video. So this is your first question. This is exactly the same format that appeared in the exam. The data would be slightly different. Look at this and see if you can answer it. Answer it with 100% sincerity. You have to try to get this right. Get started. Now this is a simple question. I hope you have answered this right. This is data sufficiency, a slightly different form of data sufficiency. Fine, where the options are given like this, not in the conventional format. What does the question say? Let's just give it a patient reading. Train A, train B cross each other completely in this much time while traveling in opposite directions. The speed at which A runs is this much, speed of B is also given. So the time in which they cross each other is given. It is like that. This is A and this is B, right? The time in which they cross each other is given. The 2 speeds are given. Fine. So when all this data is given to you, can you calculate the sum of the 2 lengths? The first thing that comes to your mind when you look at this data is the sum of the 2 lengths. So you can calculate this L1, or let me call this LA, length of A plus length of B. You can easily calculate this. Would we calculate this? We can calculate this, but we will not calculate this. We know that this can be calculated. Length of A plus length of B. Now look at this. The length of A is 80 meters less than that of B. So you basically know this as well. Length of B minus length of A. This is also given to you. Now in data sufficiency, the good part is you actually do not need to calculate anything. The moment you read this first statement, within 5 seconds, you know that you can calculate the sum of the 2 lengths. You know the difference of the 2 lengths. When you know the sum as well as the difference of the 2 lengths, can you calculate the 2 lengths separately? Yes, this can be calculated. This length of B can also be calculated. Now it says which of the following can be determined from the given data. You cannot calculate this A. This cannot be done because you do not have the length of this train. So this is a silly mistake that you can make in this question. Apart from it, you can calculate this length of A. You can calculate the time taken by B to cross this bridge. You can calculate the time taken by A to overtake B. Once you have got the 2 speeds and you got the 2 lengths, you can basically calculate everything in this question. So I can add 5 more statements to this. You straight away know whatever you can calculate and what are the parts that you cannot calculate. So there is nothing in this question. The answer is option 4. The only thing that you could have got incorrect here is by making a silly mistake. The important part in DS is, which many of you still do not understand, is you do not have to calculate anything. Fine. So at times when our concepts are not solid, we rely on hit and trial. We'll put this, acha aa gaya, so I know this. When your concepts are good, they're sound, then you know by looking at the question what piece of data is required, what is not required. It does not mean that you have to practice doing 100 questions on data sufficiency. No, it does not mean that. The reason is that when I look at some of the solutions given for these data sufficiency problems in books and all is, it just defeats the purpose of giving data sufficiency. They would solve everything and say, this is insufficient. There are these many variables and there are these many unknowns. No, data sufficiency is not like that. If you have to apply data sufficiency in arithmetic, you need to understand arithmetic. So in this question, the moment you know that the time taken is given to you to cross each other and the two speeds are given, everything can be calculated. So since the difference in the lengths is there, the two lengths can be calculated. Then you can calculate everything. The only thing that you could not calculate is the time taken by B to overtake the other train, because that length is unknown. I hope you understand this. This is a very simple question, and believe me, many of you would have got this incorrect in the exam or would just have been overawed by looking at this question, or that is what the exam pressure does to you at times. Let's move to the second one. This is your question number 2. This would be a relatively tough one. Many of you got stumped by looking at this question. Read it carefully, try answering it. If you take some time, do not mind, take your time, but answer this. Now it's a question that definitely looks tough, so many variables and all, 3 kinds of equations are given and you have to solve them and then arrive at the answer. But again, since this data sufficiency, all that is not required. Now this is a question that's similar to what appeared in the exam. If I just compare the two, I do not know if this data inconsistent option was there in the exam or not. If this option is not there or was not there in the exam, this was a sitter. There is absolutely nothing that you need to do in this question. Just look at what is given over here. T minus 2 hours, S plus 15 kilometers per hour. So what it's saying is this, S plus 15 into T minus 2, and this is D. So this is your first equation, S minus 15 into T plus 4, that is S minus 15 into T plus 4. You do not need to write this, I am just writing this for explanation. And this is the third one, S minus 10, and this is T plus 2, and this is also D. Now, if you've got some knowledge of all this, you have solved equations, simultaneous equations and all, you know that these are 3 equations and there are 3 variables, S, T and D. So when you solve them, you'll get all these values S, T, D, and then you can calculate anything and everything here. Fine. So all these values of D, S, T can be calculated. This can also be calculated. This is nothing. The distance covered by man in T plus 6 hours. So you've got the values of S and T, you can calculate everything. The question is, when something like this is given, data is inconsistent, you definitely know that data is sufficient. If data is not inconsistent, data is definitely sufficient. So this cannot be your answer. So either you can answer all of them, A, B, C, D. So either this would be the answer or data inconsistent would be the answer. Now my assumption is that in your exam, this data inconsistent option was not there. What is the meaning of data inconsistent? When the equations are not consistent with each other, they will give you a contradiction. Fine. So they cannot satisfy. There is no set of values that will satisfy all the 3 equations. So that is the meaning of data inconsistent. So, but there is an option like that. So it becomes a tougher question. Had it not been there, you could straight away have said that the answer is 3, because you will definitely get unique values for S, T and D, all 3 of them, right? But in this case it is there. So how do you do that? One option is that you solve these 3 equations. It will take a couple of minutes for you to solve them. If you're fast, probably 1.5 minutes. If you're slow, probably 4 or 5 minutes, and then you will be able to check if they're giving the answer or not. Another way is, if you remember, we have done similar questions in our time, speed, distance session earlier, much earlier. I think I did that session 1.5 years back, that is still there on YouTube, in which we compared a situation like this. The only difference is that in that question, it was of the format where S into T became D, where speed into time was D, and then the deviations were given like that, and this third one was missing. In this case, S into T is not equal to D. So this is one mistake that people might do while solving this question. That's why I said it's a tricky one. But in this case, what you will do is that this is the base from which you will compare the rest of the 2 cases. How would it happen? If you compare this S minus 15 and S minus 10 with S plus 15, you know the differences. S minus 15 and S plus 15 differ by 30. You write this 30 here. S plus 15 and S minus 10, this difference is 30 and this difference is 25, right? So we have done similar kinds earlier, so you'll write this 25 here. So you'll write this 30 by 25. Now, what do you take from here? These two differences, this difference and this difference. What are the two differences? This difference here would be equal to 4 and this would be equal to 6. So, what do you write from here? From this one, you will take this 4 here from the numerator and then 6 here, you put this in the denominator. So, it's the reverse fraction. So, you take this 30 from this thing here. So, in the second case, while writing this, you pick the value from this difference, from this t plus 2. So, you take this 4 here in the numerator. So, 30 upon 25 into 4 upon 6. You solve this, it's nothing. What does it give you? It gives you 4 upon 5, I think. Yes, this is 4 upon 5. This is 6, 5, 5, 5. This gives you 4 upon 5. What is this 4 upon 5? This 4 upon 5 is, either you can write it like that in terms of speed as s minus 15 upon s minus 10. So, it is this ratio, fine. Or in terms of time, you can write it as this ratio, t plus 2 upon t plus 4. Now, you will find everything here. कुछ है ही नहीं इसके अंदर करने के लिए. What is this difference? This is 1 unit. But what is the difference between s minus 15 and s minus 10? That is 5 units. So, basically everything needs to be multiplied with 5. So, what are you saying? This 4 then would correspond to 20. So, what would this value become? This value here would become 20. What would this value become? This would become 25, that is s minus 10. What would this become? What is the difference between t plus 2 and t plus 4? That is 2. And what is the difference between 4 and 5? That is 1. So, again everything needs to be multiplied with 2 here. So, what is this t plus 2? There will be 4 into 2, that's 8. And what is this t plus 4? That is 5 into 2, that's 10. So, you've got everything here. You've got every set of values here and you can just cross check it. So, t plus 2 is 8. So, what is the value of t here? Then t would be equal to 6. S minus 15 is 20. So, what would be the value of s? That would be equal to 35. You can calculate d as well. D is simple to calculate. You can just put that in any of the sets of equations and do it. Remember, d would not be equal to s into t. All this is not required for this question. That is just for your knowledge here. D would not be equal to s into t. I warned you earlier as well. So, you can calculate d from here or from here or from here. You can calculate it from anywhere and then can arrive at this. So, d would be equal to, if we take the here s plus 15, that's 50 into t minus 2, that's 4. So, d would be equal to 200 basically. Now, you can check it's consistent with all three. I have shown you the detailed solution without making too many equations and all. If you are familiar with this, you can do it extremely quickly, very quickly, and you can check if they are consistent or not. You will not need to solve these equations. What I have done is I just show it to you very quickly. I have just taken this. When you realize that this is the base, t minus 2, s plus 15, you take the change from here. So, s plus 15 to s minus 15, the difference is 30. S plus 15 to s minus 10, difference is 25, right. Likewise, take that in time, that's t minus 2 and these are the two times, t plus 4 and t plus 2. So, the two differences would be equal to 4 and 6. You write it in the reverse order. So, if you take this difference s plus 15 and s minus 15 from here, in terms of time, this is 30. In terms of time, you will take the other difference. So, you will take t minus 2 with this t plus 2 first in numerator. And then the rest would go into the denominator. You solve this, you get 4 upon 5. What is this 4 upon 5? This 4 upon 5 is the ratio of the two speeds as well as the two time periods. Which two speeds? This speed and this speed, and this time period and this time period. Whichever, which is bigger, which is smaller, that's already known to you using common sense. S minus 15 would be smaller than S minus 10 or bigger than S minus 10. Just think like that. So, S minus 15 would be smaller. So, this 4 upon 5 would be equal to S minus 15 upon S minus 10. So, you can just calculate this quite quickly, and this would also be equal to T plus 2 upon T plus 4. Will not take you much time, will not take you any time. In fact, we have done similar questions. Yes, this was a little more complicated, but again, keeping the base as these values, you could have done it very quickly. So, what would be the answer here in this case? The answer would be option 3, that is A, B, C, D. Now, I have done this under the assumption that there was an option like data inconsistent, and there was a chance that data could have been inconsistent in this question. Had it not been there, you know that these are 3 equations, 3 variables, you look at it and mark the answer straight away as A, B, C, D. You could have answered all 4 of them without thinking too much. One mistake that you keep making is, you will calculate and see, aa raha hai ki nahi aa raha. Nahi, wo nahi karna hai. It could have been much worse. I mean, the set of values that they give you can be much worse. We calculated and cross-checked because the options were like that in the question that was framed by me. I hope you understood this. Now, let's move to the next one. This is your next question, a simple question on partnership. I want to see how you do it and how quickly you do it. Just look at it carefully. Again, try answering it. Don't forget, we are in the middle of a test. This is a test of 5 questions. I want to see how many do you get right. Please get started. Now, this one was actually a 10-second question. You just look at it and you can answer it straight away like that without doing anything. I'll show you. What is given here? These are 2 people who started the business. That's A and B. A invested half the amount. So, B invested 5,400 in the beginning. So, it means that A must have started with rupees 2,700. That's what you know. After 3 months, B left, and that is where the role of B ends in this question. After some more time, so basically C joined after 3 months. So C could have joined after 3.5 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever, but after 3 months. So C could not have joined at exactly 3 months, right? With an investment of rupees X. A and C got equal profit, and B's investment, which of the following values are possible for X? Again, you'll think that these are so many values, you put them, you calculate and all, it becomes difficult. No, you work on it in the reverse manner. How do you do it? Let's say that C invests, or let's for a moment assume that C invests after 3 months, exactly after 3 months. So if C invests after 3 months, for how long was A invested? 12 months. If C remains invested for 9 months, that is, if C is allowed to invest for exactly 9 months, that is, C invests after 3 months, which is not possible in this case, what would be the investment of C so that the profits are equal? All of you know that there will be 2,700 into 12 by 9. Why 12 by 9? Because A remained invested for 12 months. So C remained invested for 9 months. So C's investment would be 12 by 9 times, or you could straight away have said 4 by 3 times. That's how you do it. Or you straight away know that is 3,600. The thing that I've showed you here would actually not require any paperwork. You look at it and you straight away know, had C been allowed to invest after 3 months, C's investment would be 3,600, so that their profits are equal. Profits are equal only when the effective investments are equal, right? All of you are with me till here. Now, since C invested after 3 months, C would need to invest more than 3,600, isn't it? And this is where the question ends. So this is ruled out. This is where people would make a mistake in a question like this. They would count 3,600 as well. This is okay. This is okay. And this is ruled out. This is less than 3,600. So what is the answer? The answer becomes A and C. So that is option 2. One mistake that you could have made here is A, C and D. No, you cannot do that. A, C and D. In case of D, that's exactly 3,600. So that can only happen when C invests after 3 months. So C invested some time after 3 months. So it could have been 3 months, 5 days, whatever. But yes, invested after 3 months, so you can do it in the reverse manner, and then now you can look at it. These options could have been far uglier, would not have made a difference. For example, if this option is 3,875.75, does that make a difference to me? No, I know that as long as it's more than 3,600, that's doing the job for me, and it's going to satisfy this. So if your concepts are clear, you're working in the right manner, this is a nothing question. The moment you look at it, you know it's 5,400, 2,700 is the half of it, that's the investment of A. C after 3 months would do this much. So that's 3,600. So how many options are there that are greater than 3,600? 2 options. Answer becomes option 2, that is A and C. It is as simple as this. Start working like that now. These values could have been slightly tougher. Still, if you're working on it this way, this is a nothing question for you. I'm showing you the next one now. This is the next one. Again, this question troubled a lot of people, this one and the next one, because they appeared in the fill in the blank format. Now, people were making funny statements like this. Abhi English mein fill in the blank nahi aata, and they have started coming in quantitative aptitude. Tomorrow they can give you a match the following thing. They can even ask you to write an essay in quantitative aptitude. I don't know how would that happen, but it might happen. As long as your concepts are in place, it's not going to make a difference for you. Look, I mean, it might sound like gyan. Stop running after question type. So if you're working on this, let's say you pick a good book, like you pick a Sarvesh Verma or Arun Sharma or any such book, and you do those questions, and suddenly you realize, अरे इसमें ये DI तो है ही नहीं, या इसमें ये fill in the blanks तो है ही नहीं, so it becomes a bad book suddenly. No, it doesn't happen like that. If you understand the thing behind it, it is good. That would do the job for you. You can take any test series, you can take any book, use whatever material. If you understand the underlying concepts, I'm not talking about mugging up the formula, no, nor am I endorsing any book. These are random names that I took. Fine. What I'm saying is, if you have understood the underlying concepts, it can be a fill in the blank, match the following, it can be an essay, it can be a paragraph, it can be a précis writing, quantitative aptitude, it's not going to make a difference for you. If you are relying on just mugging up stuff, fine, there are, you know, some very famous books in CGL and all, which people just mug up and take the paper changed last time, all of you are aware, fine, it's not going to work like that. At least in the current avatar of these bank exams, it's not going to work. This is going much the way the cat has happened over the years. If you look at it, this is very similar. It requires application, it requires people who can think on their feet, it requires people who are not scared by the very look of the questions, and then they can give you marks. If you're just doing those STs still, ST is that speed test. So a speed test can still work in this paper if you're, let's say, doing some questions on quadratic equations or series or let's say simplification approximation. But if you're doing arithmetic, a speed test would not work, would do the work for you. You have to master the art of problem solving. There is a difference. Get comfortable with it. This would become a lot of fun. Look at this question now with an open, clean mind, and with the belief that you can do it. You know this much, and see how quickly you can get to the answer. Get started. Pause the video. I'm sure when you read this question with an open mind, you would not find it too difficult. What is it? A mixture contains 200 liters of milk, 40 liters of water. So it is like that. This is milk, this is 200, this is water, that's 40. So if you look at the total quantity here, the total quantity here would be 200 plus 40, that is 240. And if you look at the difference between milk and water, that is 200 minus 40, that is 160. That is the exact situation that is given to you. I have not done anything, I have just written this data. If this much liters of mixture is thrown out, so it's thrown out, it's a homogeneous mixture that's thrown out, and some part or some quantity of pure water is added, the quantity of water, quantity of milk in the resultant mixture becomes 120 liters more than the quantity of water. So the difference currently is 160. This 160 finally becomes 124. It is like that. Fine. So that is the exact scenario that's given to you here. This is 160 at the beginning, the difference, which becomes 124. So this goes down by 36. So this difference goes down by 36. Now just think about that. When you throw out something from a homogeneous mixture, so whatever goes out from here, the same percentage goes out from here, the same percentage is reduced from the total, and the same percentage is reduced from the difference as well. So if you, let's say, throw 10% out from this 40, 10% would get reduced from this as well, from this as well, from this difference as well, isn't it? If you want, you can just cross check it. So what do you do? If you have to check options, if you look at this, this is total 240, this is difference, that is 160. So do you realize that difference is 2/3 of the total? So can we say 2/3 of total is difference at the start? Now when you throw something out, if you are throwing out 15 from this, with this, how much of the difference are you throwing out? If you are throwing out the total quantity of 15 or 15 out of the total quantity, in terms of difference, how would the difference go down? Difference would go down by 15 into 2/3. With this logic only, this is 240, this is 160. Everything would go down proportionally. So this is a difference of 10, but this has to go down by 36. So from 10 to 36, how would this happen? If you add 26 liters of water to it, isn't it? What is happening? The difference when this 15 is thrown out would be, if you look at this, 160 minus 10, this 160 minus 10, because the difference also goes down by 10, which is 150. So this 150 is now reduced to 124 because you add some water to it, isn't it? So when you add water to it, the difference becomes 124. This was at 150, the difference reduced to 124 because you added some water to it. So what do you do? How do you cross check? This was just the explanation, the story. For those of you who could not understand it, how do you cross check it? You just cross check it like that. Multiply the first number with 2/3. So 15 into 2/3 is 10. Add the second number to it. So you add 26 to it. You get 36. So if you get 36, the option satisfies. As simple as that. So this satisfies. This is okay. Look at the second one. Do you even need to check? No. 12 into 2/3 plus 6 can never be 36. So it does not satisfy. Look at the third one. 18 into 2/3 is 12. 12 plus 24, 36 satisfies. Look at the fourth one. 27 into 2/3, that is 18. 18 plus 18, that's 36. It satisfies. There is nothing in it. If you understand the concept, it's absolutely nothing. What did I do here? I know that this is 200. That's milk. This is water here, which is 40. This is total, which is 240, and this is the difference, which is 160. We can see that difference, this difference here is equal to 2/3 of total. So when you throw something out from the mixture, it's going out from the homogeneous mixture. So whatever percentage goes out, it will be the same from here, same from here, same from total, same from difference, right? So when you throw out 15, by how much would the difference go down? If you want, you can cross check it. 15 out of 240 this much percentage is going out, this much same percentage would be going out from this D as well. So what would I do? Would I calculate this stupid way or would I do it directly? No. So the difference would go down by 2/3 of what the total has gone down by. So total goes down by 15. So difference would go down by 10. Difference goes down by 10 from 160, 10 reduced, it becomes 150. So 150 to 124 means what? If this 26 liters of water is added, then the difference further reduces to 124, and likewise you check. So what is the generalization? I mean, you talk about formulae all the time. How do we derive all these formulae? By doing things like that. So for this question, this particular situation, the formula would be multiply this first value with 2 by 3, add this second value. Fine. So first value multiplied with 2 by 3, add this second value. If you get a 36, why a 36? Because we started with 160, the difference, and we ended up at 124. So this is a reduction of 36. So if you get a 36 here, the value satisfies. Now imagine if you know this rule, or I mean, not know this rule in the sense that you have to know it like a formula. If you can just arrive on this rule quickly by observation, how quickly you can do this. Now I can make the options very, very bad. It will still not make a difference to you. Probably one of the toughest. This along with the second question that I did troubled most of the people, and most of you either wasted a lot of time or got them incorrect. Look at this question carefully. Believe me, it's again quite simple. Try and answer this. Now, what do you do in this one? It is a simple piece of data. If you look at this, mark price of an article is 60% more than the cost price. The moment you look at it, you think of a situation like this. If cost price is 100, the mark price is 160. This is what comes to your mind straight away. If a shopkeeper allows X% discount, he makes a gain of this much percent, whereas if he allows 2X% discount, he makes a gain of this much percent. Again, multiple options, looks difficult like that. Which of the following options can be put into the two blanks, and then there are these combinations. We are not even looking at these combinations, just the blanks. Understand one thing here, this percentage and all is not important. This is simply saying X% discount and 2X% discount. So can I say in this second case, the discount is double of the first discount? If X% discount is, let's say, any amount, let's say Y rupees. So this would be 2X% discount would be 2Y rupees. So in short, what it's saying is that in the second case, the discount is double. This is what you need to check. It's simple. If you get into percentage and all, it becomes tough. No, make it simple. Simplify things. Look at the first option, for example. Which of the following can be put into the two blanks? So it says these are the two profit percentages. If the profit percentage is 44 and the second profit percentage is 28. So let me just write the selling price for you. So let's say 44% profit means the selling price would be 144 and 28% profit would be the selling price of 128. Now tell me what would be the discount in the two cases. If 160 is your mark price, 144 is your selling price, what is the discount? In this case, that is 16. What is the discount here? 160 minus 128, it is 32. So do you actually need to calculate the percentage? It's simple to calculate the percentage here in option 1, because the discount here in this case, you can see 16 on 160 is 10%, here it's 20%. You can do it, but it's not really required because it will be tough for you when the options are tougher. I have given you one option that is slightly more complicated. So what you know straight away by looking at these options, you will not need to make a table like this, is that this option A satisfies. This is fine with you. I mean, this has to be fine. Look at option 2. I'm just erasing this for you. I'll just show that to you in detail so that you not get confused. If you look at this second option here, 36 and 12. So you're saying this is 136 and this is 112. So what is 160 minus 136? That is 24. That is the discount. What is 160 minus 112? This 160 minus this 112. That is 48. Is it double? 48 is double of 24. It again satisfies. Look at it in the similar manner. I will not write this for 30 and 16 now. So you are saying 160 minus 130 because 30% profit means selling price is 130. So discount is 30 units here. 116 selling price. What is the discount then? Then the discount in this case would be 44. Is it double? No. So this does not satisfy. Look at this last one, 52.50. It is in decimal. Many people would have thought this is again difficult. No. Let me just put this here only. If I look at this, how do I think about that? 52.50 means you are saying that the selling price is 152.50. 45% profit means it is 145. What is the discount here? 160 minus 152.50. So that is 7.50. That is the discount. What is the discount in the second case? 160 minus 145, that is 15. Is 15 double of 7.5? Yes. So it satisfies. What is my answer? A, B and D, that is option 1. It becomes so simple. Now the problem is that if you start calculating this, many people would be stuck here in this question looking at least the tougher options. If you start calculating this, what is 7.5 as a percentage of 160? If you do this, you're gone. You're gone when it will not take you much time. This is also not too difficult, but we do not need this. Look at the crux of the question. Start observing questions. Do not just jump on them straight away. The moment you look at this, X% discount, 2X% discount, the thing that should click to you is that the discount here is double. Fine. In this second case, discount here is double. You look at this 44.28. What do you look at straight away? 160 minus 144, that is 16. 160 minus 128, that is 32. It satisfies. You just check it like that straight away and you get to your answer in absolutely no time. The answer would be option 1, and this is for a question which most of the people would have got incorrect. And believe me, even the options are tougher than this, then also you can get to the answer quite quickly. Let's make this fourth option slightly more uglier. Let's say this is like that. It becomes 58.90 and say this is 57.80. If you have understood this, you straight away know it satisfies. How does it satisfy? What would be the selling prices? There will be 158.90 and 157.80. So what would be the two discounts? 160, you subtract 158.90 from it. So what do you get? You get 1.10. This is the discount here. You subtract 157.80 from 160. What is it? That's 2.20 now. Is 2.20 double of 1.1? Yes. So it satisfies. This is also going to give you the answer. The problem is when you start calculating this, 1.1 of 160, what percentage is this? Fine. 2.2 of 160, what percentage is this? It's all this is not really required. I mean, obviously, if this is double, 2.2 is double of 1.1, that has to be double. Now, in this case, if I make it even tougher, when I make this 3x, what would change here? Nothing would change. You know that in the second case, the discount would be 3 times. You can again do it in a similar manner. Does not make a difference. If I make this 2x, again will not make a difference. So what does that mean? If this is 2 units discount here, this would be 3 units discount. Just work on it in a similar manner. This all becomes simpler for you. But remove that mental block first and start working accordingly. Right, so that was the last question for the day. We just did 5 questions. I just wanted to show to you that all these questions were doable. You might say that we're not familiar in all, but yes, if you understand all these concepts, all this should be doable. You know, the difference between the bank exams of, let's say, 2014, 15 and 2018 would be that now they are moving the CAT way, or the way that most of these good aptitude tests are, or these so-called tougher aptitude tests are. Earlier, they used to be STs. STs means, what do you call it? A speed test. So the prelims of all these bank exams are still pretty much like a speed test only. But when it comes to the mains, it's a test of so many things. I mean, if you talk about speed and all, yes, that's still required, but it's not an ST anymore. You have to acquire some serious problem solving skills. And this is where the test has become different. We still keep getting a lot of queries with from people saying, I clear absolutely everything in prelims, all the tests, and I fail equally regularly in the mains exam. What is the reason? The reason is your problem solving ability. You lack there. So an ST kind of an approach probably would see you through all the time in the prelims, but when it comes to mains, you're going to struggle. The mains has changed, the exam has changed. Please understand that. When it comes to quant, I hope you understood it. When it comes to a subject like even GK, it is changing. Last year IBPS RRB paper was a little different than expected. So earlier it used to be like, I don't know what it's going to be like in 2019. Don't catch me if it's very similar to last year. But the way we look at it, it's also changing. It's evolving. So earlier you were just supposed to mug up a small compendium of 30, 40, 50 pages last 2 months, 2.5 months. In fact, people would be so specific. They would ask us questions like, sir, from what date am I supposed to do GK? 15th of September or 13th of September or 1st of September? I mean, this is not GK. What are you doing? You're not, 6th grade kids wherein you'll say, पहले 10 पेज में से एग्जाम आएगा. No, it's general awareness. Just think about it. It's general awareness. You're supposed to be well read. Fine, you're going to be managers in some reputed firm. So they expect you to be well read. They expect you to go through the newspapers and magazines and stuff like that regularly. They expect you to be abreast of the latest happenings in the industry. And that is why they check your general affairs. Not because you have got hold of 2 particular compendiums, the right ones that anticipate the right questions and you have done them thoroughly. No. Start doing it regularly. Now English is a little different. They check your writing skills and all. You might abuse them, you might do whatever. They're not going to change. Fine, the change is happening for good. So if you want to do well in English, you need to read regularly, you need to write regularly. So if the exam has changed, and believe me, all these changes are for your own good only. Earlier, the people who used to crack these exams, some of these people, they have just taken 150 STs. 115 STs, the job is done. It cannot be done like that. In mains at least, in this exam in its current format. So you have to change your approach. And believe me, in this exercise, if you keep doing it, you would realize that after 6 months, after 8 months, after 3 months, whatever time you give to this preparation, you are a better individual in terms of your language skills, in terms of your aptitude, in terms of your logical thinking, your ability to think on your feet and all these things. So it's supposed to work on these skills. They are looking for people who can actually do something good for them when you join their organization. So they're checking for skills that are actually required rather than your ability to mug up some standard compendium or just like an idiot take 200 tests and develop that skill and keep doing it going forward. All that is not needed anymore. When you talk about a test like, let's say, a CAT or a XAT, how are they different? They are different because you actually cannot anticipate what would come. CAT is still very predictable in its current format now, but there was a point when the CAT was absolutely unpredictable. You could not predict even the number of questions, the type of questions, the weightage, nothing was known in CAT, and that was the beauty of the exam. So people who were prepared would still be confident. They did not need to know how many questions from arithmetic would be there. They just needed to know arithmetic, geometry, algebra. All right, number systems, this is there, I'm prepared. So what you knew was that they would not give you physics, and this is it. What people preparing for bank exams, please do not please do not mind, I'm just being, I'm just trying to help you here by telling you these things, would try and predict to an extent GK 15 September se aayega ki 20th se aayega. Guys, change yourself. The exam has changed. Change yourself. It's going to benefit you. Just develop this art of solving problems, and then you'd stop looking to anticipate the questions like that. You would stop looking for things like DI आएगा कि DS आएगा, आपको क्या लगता है सर? अरे मेरे लगने से कुछ होता नहीं है ना. Fine. So understand this. If you are good at a particular subject, it should not matter to you the kind of questions, the number of questions, the difficulty level of the questions. You would go there confident. When you have mugged up some stuff, some specific 150 formulae, some specific 176 tricks of solving questions like that, then you suffer in all these things. So work on these things. That's going to work for you. I hope this gyan helps you a bit on this, and you would contemplate about why some of you did not do well in this Quant paper. We did some 5 questions and all of them were quite simple. I hope you start working on this. You've got a lot of time on hand when it comes to the exams of the next season. I don't know, SBI PO notification, nobody knows when it's going to come. So you've got some 4-6 months at least for this. Prepare hard, prepare well, adapt. That is the need of the hour, and it should be all good for you then. I wish you all the best for your preparation. Just keep working on these things religiously. We have released a lot of courses for you recently. Things like what happened yesterday, Fiverr for vocabulary, Force for reading comprehension. I hope that you are aware and you are working on those things. Do them gradually over a period of time. That's not going to trouble you. If you come to us 15 days before the exam, it's going to be a problem. Fine. So just work on all these things and it should all be good. I wish you good luck for your preparation. Thank you very much for your patience.